Okay, so this is video part 2 for section 2 of the Pit and the Pendulum notes. Creating histograms, example 1 and 2 is what we're going to go through. So first of all, when you're making a histogram, the first step is to look at the data that you're given and see if these numbers repeat. If these numbers don't repeat, then you're going to want to figure out how to group the data together so that you can get several bars of meaningful data. And so when I'm looking at this data, it's ranging all the way down from 18 up to 96. So having intervals of a length of 20 makes a lot of sense because my range is about 80 and get 4 or 5 meaningful bars there. And so as you can see at the bottom of the histogram there, we have our data already kind of labeled at the bottom. So your intervals here are 1 to 20, 21 to 40, 41 to 60, 61 to 80, 81 to 100. You want to create a frequency table so you can just tally up the data and figure out where it all belongs. So if you would go ahead and hit pause, take each number out of the list, like for instance 50. You see that 50 belongs in this third group here. You just place a tally and mark it off the list. 42, place a tally, mark it off the list. Again, hit pause as soon as you have the frequency table filled in. I'd like you to check your answers. All right, so let's check your frequency table. We went through the list and marked them all off, and it looks like we should have 2, 5, 6, 7, and 2 in this last category here. And so with the frequency table filled in, we've used all of our data. We're going to create the histogram. So this first group is 1 to 20. You'd want to draw a bar that has a height of 2, and then you can lightly shade it in. You don't have to spend a lot of time. That second bar would have a height of 5, and then a height of 6, a height of 7, and then a height of 2. So histograms, again, fairly simple concept. It's just sometimes hard picking out how to group the data and looking at intervals. Let's go on to example 2 when you're ready. All right, so example 2. When I'm looking at this data, it looks like some of my smaller numbers are down around 40, 41-ish, and my largest number is upwards of 70, 71, 72. So those are some of my bigger numbers. That's only really a range of 30 numbers there, so I don't need to have as big as groups as I did last time. I could get meaningful data by simply going into groups of 5. And so groups of 5 go from 40 to 44. And sometimes it helps just to count that out on your fingers. 40, 41, 42, 43, 44. There's actually an interval size of there's actually an interval size of 5 occurring here. So going through and tallying, if you would go ahead and hit pause, practice finding each of these numbers and placing them in the frequency chart. When you are done filling in your frequency chart, you can hit play again and then check to see that you have all these numbers correct before we draw the histogram. All right, so your tallies, we should have had 1 in the 40 to 44 category. You should have had 3 in the 45 to 49. You should have had 6 in the 50 to 54, 8 in the 55 to 59 range, 5 in the 60 to 64 range, and 4 in the next box, and 3. And then go ahead and draw in your histogram. You have a height of 1, a height of 3. Now remember, the x-axis does not have to begin at 0. The y-axis does have to begin at 0. If these groups were large, like they were numbers, like there was 15, 20, 25 things in each bar here, you do not have to scale by ones. You can scale 2, 4, 6, 8, or however you need to. The 50 to 54, you would have had a height of 6. Go ahead and finish out your histogram. Height of 8. Back to a height of 5. 4. And 3. All right, and again, you can shade them in if it helps you kind of see. And once you have your histogram filled in, that concludes section 2 for information over histograms and creating them.